Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Hashim Kumar. In late September at The Hague, what began as a peaceful anti-migration protest turned violent just weeks before the Netherlands heads to the polls. The clashes come as migration once again dominates Europe's agenda, from Germany tightening deportation rules to Sweden offering large return grants, and Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk declaring his country will be excluded from the EU Migration Pact. With Brussels reportedly considering an exemption for Poland, what does this mean for Europe's shared asylum policy? Joining us now is Jarmiła Rybicka, founder of the Kitchen of Conflicts Foundation and a pro-migration activist. Jarmiła, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Hi, thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you. So we see, I mentioned three countries just now, four actually, where, there is a movement to control migration, to repatriate illegal migrants and so on. Where is this all coming from?
Yeah, the answer is probably complex. When I see the protests in Amsterdam and in other Dutch cities, I don't see it as like fully grassroots, spontaneous movement. It's definitely some strong element of political organization behind that. And even, for example, early this month, the protest in The Hague was organized by a far-right influencer who is connected to the far-right party. So I would say there is some social discontent, some local frustrations, especially like in the Netherlands around housing, but there is also politicians who are fueling and using this for their own political agenda.
Right. Well, unfortunately, politicians tend to do that, don't they? Whichever side they come from. But Geert Wilders, I mean, this Dutch election that's coming up on 29th, I believe, of this month, the reason it's been called is because Geert Wilders, the leader of the right-wing party, pulled out of government. He simply disagreed with Holland's migration policy. Now, his party carries 37 out of the 150 seats in Parliament, the House of Representatives. His party has the largest number of seats. What does that tell you about public opinion in terms of, his election success?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky question because I think it works both ways. Politicians influence how the society see the world. And it's not only that politicians adjust to what we think. You can take as an example Polish case. Majority of Poles support legalization of same-sex partnerships, but still we haven't seen that. So I wouldn't say that politicians always adjust to what society thinks, what is the mood. Definitely there is a lot of anxiety about migration topic, and research definitely shows that. But I think then we find ourselves in some kind of loop, like politicians adjust to what we think, and we think we turn even more right because of this sometimes hate campaigns. We've seen this also with Law and Justice campaign, also scapegoating migrants and refugees.
Okay, so I want to come to the Polish situation in just a minute. But, both Sweden and Germany, both very liberal, very progressive societies, have said, well, we're having problems with integrating some of these migrants. What's going on there?
I mean, I'm not an expert in German or Swedish integration system. I can tell you more about Polish case, and I would say that most of these problems originates from not properly working integrational system. And even when, for example, migrants are scapegoated and blamed for the housing crisis in the Netherlands, data shows it's not true. I mean, official data and also UN report shows that even though this is the real problem, like the Netherlands faces shortage of around like 400,000 homes, but still it's the main reason is not refugees or asylum seekers or migrants. It's rather complex housing policy issues and gaps in investments.
Yeah, but the migrants need somewhere to live, and if there's already a shortage, surely having migrants coming in is making the shortage worse, is it not?
Yeah, but at the same time we need this labor force. So I would say it's a complex issue, and we need wise answers for that. That's why we need to build well thought and wise policies when it comes to migration. And complaining about migrants and building walls will never solve any problem, because migration have been and migrations are and migrations will be, and we will not stop that. So we need to face this reality and really look for better programs, better integrational systems in which we can really make it work.
Is there a limit as to the number of migrants you think Europe should accept? Illegal migrants, I'm saying.
I mean, it's a very small number of illegal migrants in Europe, and also illegal crossings is like very small % of migrants who are in Europe. I don't have a clear answer on what number should it be. I would start with building clever system and then to think how many people we can integrate.
Because the EU is asking its member states to take 30,000 migrants a year. And if the states like Poland don't agree to doing that, Poland's an exception, but any other state, then they'd have to pay 20,000 euros to the European Union budget for not taking. So 30,000 people a year in every country in the EU, that adds up to quite a lot, doesn't it, over a few years?
Poland has 40 million people. It doesn't sound to me like a lot, but at the same time we are speaking about relocating people who are in Europe. So it's like also about the solidarity. And it can also happen to Poland because we are border country in European Union. So this is the experience of Italy, Spain and Greece, that they accept large amount of migrants and refugees. So this European system is, for me, about solidarity.
Understood. Now, why is it, I mean, maybe I'm wrong and perhaps you can correct me, but one gets the impression that Europe is taking a disproportionate number of migrants coming from, I don't know, the Middle East or North Africa and so on. Do you think migrants should also be welcomed in other countries outside Europe, for example, the wealthy Gulf states?
Yeah, for sure. I think that this would be a proper thing. But you always have to remember that majority of the refugees worldwide are hosted in the neighboring countries. So it's this concept that refugees are most in biggest numbers in Europe. It's just not accurate.
Where else are they going?
To the neighboring countries. So, for example, to when it comes to refugees from Myanmar to neighboring countries. So it's not that everyone goes to Europe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, in terms of, I'd like to talk about Poland. I mean, Prime Minister Tusk has said, we've got agreement from the European Union that we're not going to be taking these, 30,000 migrants a year. Of course, we haven't received confirmation from the EU that is the case. And the justification that Prime Minister Tusk uses is, well, we've already, taken in 3 million Ukrainians. What do you think of that argument?
Obviously, I don't agree with that decision. I think it's a lack of solidarity, and that the fact that we were able to accept so many Ukrainians and open our homes and open our schools and welcome Ukrainians into our society, it proves the point that we are capable of doing that. We are hospitable enough to do that, and also that, for example, when it comes to Ukrainians, they contributed last year. They generated almost 3% of Polish GDP. Also, they paid more taxes than they received in any kind of social support. So it shows that it can work, and yeah.
All right. Okay. Going forward, what do you think should happen? Is there a way in which borders could be and should be better controlled, so at least we know who's coming in to Europe?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's possible to combine human rights and our safety. And what is currently happening, I mean, so-called suspension of asylum law. I don't think it's working. It's not aligned with any human rights international laws. It's against Polish and international law as well. And human rights are universal, so that's why you cannot suspend them. And this kind of suspension will not make us safer. It will only mean that we are not able to, as you are saying, to get to know these people, to check them, to let them go through the procedures. So I am against any kind of special no-go zones, because for me it only means that this process is not transparent.
Right. So what? I mean, one of the things that President Trump said in the U.S., for example, was, the southern border was open, and he said, we don't know who's coming in. There could have been terrorists and so on. And I suppose, there is some kind of possible logic to that. We don't know who they are. They could be anybody. How do we protect ourselves against, nefarious actors?
I mean, Polish system and also European Union system works quite good in that way, except the current suspension. A person who asks for asylum is going through a very long procedure in which there is a lot of checkups on person's history, why he or she is actually claiming asylum, if there is any grant and any reason for that. So I would say that this process to me works quite well.
Okay. So politically speaking, where do you see Europe's politics going now? We've already spoken about some countries, but the rest of them?
I think migration is a very difficult topic, although I think it's really often that we channel social frustration. Mostly political actors channel social frustrations into that topic, because it's so much easier to point on the vulnerable group like refugees. You can see them, okay, this is them, this is because of them. It's much more easier than address real social issues, like to fix our healthcare system or to, face more complex inequalities.
All right. Jarmiła Rybicka, unfortunately, we have to end it there, but thank you very much indeed for sharing your analysis with our audience.
Thank you very much.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, though. Lots more coming up. Goodbye.